Thank you for joining us at Yeni Şafak. Today we are honored to have Mr. Oussama Jammal, who is the Secretary General of U.S. Council of Muslim Organizations. We have some pressing issues to discuss, particularly the recent U.S. elections. Mr. Oussama, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
Trump has won the recent U.S. elections. What are your reflections on this election, and what does a Trump presidency mean for Muslim Americans?
The most recent elections in the U.S. And the elections of Donald Trump truly not only shocked the American people, but around the world. Of course, it means a lot for the Muslim Americans, and it means a lot for the world as well. But certainly this election has revealed a simmering feelings among the American people from the current administration, which is the Biden administration, and that is the Democrat. There has been many issues, including the economy, including the foreign policy. For Muslim Americans, definitely the foreign policy of Joe Biden was not a policy that we were able to convince him to stop aiding Israel in the genocide that is committed against the Palestinian people, and now is going on for the Lebanese people. Unfortunately, President Biden was fully complicit in this war, and he did not pressure Netanyahu enough to stop this war. Instead, he continued to provide and supply weapons and bombs, most destructive bombs, 2,000-pound bombs to Israel, and yet unable to send envoys of or convoys of humanitarian aid. So if you can't send bombs, you should be able to send food to the people. Obviously, he was not. He was either weak or fully Zionist, as he explained, as he expressed himself, and took a pride in his himself that he is a Zionist. So this obviously was a very angering to the Muslim community. And so the election of Donald Trump comes as, first of all, a reflection of the American people. They were not happy with Biden administration. It came out to be also dissatisfaction of Muslim Americans with the Joe Biden administration. These combined really led to the election of Donald Trump, who many Americans of his followers believe that he is a victim of the Democrats, that he still do not recognize the results of 2020 elections. So it seems like they're coming with vengeance, and they want to make up for what they believe that it was the Democrats who stole the elections from him. Now, whether this is true or not, that's the feeling of Trump and his followers. And so he was able to ring bills with his followers. And this election came up very, very surprising. It shows weakness of the Democrat to be able to mobilize their base. It is analysis and shows that actually Democrats came in less numbers in 2024 than they came in 2020. And also that more for Donald Trump. And they usually say, if you have the polls shows, let's say 49% to 49% between the two, you can rest assured that there are more for Donald Trump, because some people, they do not say in the polls who they are going to vote for, but usually they keep it, and that means for Donald Trump. And that what happened in 2016 when they did not, it was a surprise for them that Donald Trump won over Hillary Clinton because the polls were misleading. And here it comes. And let's keep in mind that Biden won the election 2020 by very, very narrow margin. So this is how this election went this year. In terms of, if it is in terms of policy, Kamala Harris does not have much of an experience that known about her. She is a senator, no doubt about it, from California, but very little known about her ability for something like that. Donald Trump is not any better, but at least we know him from his first 4 years. And so Kamala Harris, if she is to continue with the Biden administration and the Biden agenda, it would be concern for the Muslim American in terms of the foreign policy. In terms of domestic policy, definitely Kamala Harris would be better than Donald Trump. Donald Trump tells you upfront what he's going to do, whether he likes you or not. And so it was easy to deal with because he's predictable. Unfortunately, Democrats, and especially Biden, with his hidden agenda, again, they use, when the case against Israel in the international court, we have noticed that the language of Biden start to change a little bit because they saw it was serious, that there are evidences and there were charges of genocide and war crimes start to be brought against Israel. So they try to distance themselves. They start to bring more about, you should provide humanitarian aid. They tried to make this temporary port on the shores of Gaza. Unfortunately, it was used more to bring Marines and special forces to rescue some of the hostages more than they really brought humanitarian aids through that temporary port to Gaza. So the agenda of Biden was not very clear. Trump tells you what his policy is, and the only difference here for this particular term, we can't judge it because until they have the complete term, the complete nominees been confirmed, how he is going to conduct his policy. We are judging his policy through his pick of those nominees. Marco Rubio, each one of them is if not Zionist, is very supportive of Israel and Israel's whatever Israel tells them. That's the problem of our administration is they take Israel's whatever they say as cast in stone, as the truth. And we have noticed how many times Biden made terrible mistakes when he adopted and accepted the lies Netanyahu told him about the burning babies, the rapes, the all kind of things.
Beheaded babies.
Beheaded babies and burned. They said they burned them alive as well. So all of these kind of lies been debunked by the media, and they continue to use it. One of the major anger of Muslim voters with Kamala Harris because she repeated that. She repeated that in the National Convention of the Democrat. She repeated that even during the debate with Donald Trump. Why in the world you want to bring this when the Israeli media, Israeli investigation, even those who said there were rape, they said, oh no, it was not, we just make it up. So it was a lie, pure lies. And unfortunately, that's what happened with the Biden and with Kamala Harris.
Thank you. Trump's cabinet is filled with individuals who are strong supporters of Zionism. Do you see any concerns regarding his new appointments?
Absolutely. The revealed names of his appointees or his selection for his cabinet and for his administration is very concerning. Absolutely. Most of them are Islamophobes. Most of them Zionists. The support, as a matter of fact, support for Israel, it doesn't matter whether Democrats or Republicans. It just some of them are a little bit more cautious in the support and slick and they try to be more of balance, but everyone is because there is a huge influence of AIPAC, of Zionist in the United States of America. And therefore, it won't be much different. It just, one would be very obvious, very confronting. The others are kind of under the radar, with the exception of Biden, who explicitly said and directly said that he is a Zionist. The Trump nominees for his different cabinet positions are concerned not only to the Muslim American community, but to the progressives, to the liberals, to the Democrats in general, to the Europeans, to NATO, and definitely to many countries in the Middle East. Even in Turkey in 2020, in 2016, Trump was a little bit more tolerant with Turkey in terms of North Syria policies. But at this time, everyone in this cabinet is very, very, first of all, most of them are unqualified for the positions that they are in. And the others, and all of them are very hawkish. They have a lot of aggressive agenda, if you will. And definitely American people, as well as Muslim Americans, will be deeply concerned about how they are going to conduct their domestic as well as the international policies. Trump, we have to judge him, but his, team is concerning. Whether he would be able to influence his team, what kind of foreign policy they are going to conduct would be different than if he would let them guide that. Just a quick note here, in his 2016 elections and his first term, he was constrained by three people. The Secretary of State at that time was I think I forgot his name, Tillerson. Tillerson, he was constraining Trump in his foreign policy, and also his national security advisor, as well as the Secretary of Defense. They were very strong influencer over Trump that constrained him a little bit. This time, he learned the lesson, not to bring that type of people. Now he made his own pick, though most of those people are not quite qualified for the positions they have. And so it is concerning. It's concerning.
What do the election results mean for Gaza? And what more can Muslims around the world do to help bring an end to Israel's genocide in Palestine?
As a matter of fact, we call that Gaza has decided this election. Believe it or not, it was a major issue that Muslim Americans, the Muslim voters in America with the Democrats, it was the Gaza issue. In the past, we've been supporting Democrats. Interesting enough, just to know, and for the audience, the background of Muslim Americans' affiliation or inclination in terms of the political parties in the U.S. Originally, Muslim Americans tend to be more of Republicans than Democrats, because Republicans are more conservative, and therefore that line up with our, family values, Islamic values, in terms of abortion, in terms of families, in terms of schools, in terms of education, certain things that we line up with Republicans. All that was true until 9/11. 9/11, Republicans took a major departure from the traditional relationship, with Muslim Americans, and unfortunately, during George Bush the second, that evangelical had much more influence over him, and so the relationship with Muslim American went down south, as they say, despite the fact that George Bush win of his election in Florida was only like a little over 500 votes. And we believe Muslim Americans' votes in Florida was able to tip the balance in his favor during that election. So yet they completely reversed direction with the Muslim community. And after 9/11, the relationship did not maintain its close relationship. Democrats picked it up. Democrats, normally they go after minorities. They like to have minorities, Latinos, other minorities within the American society, and they believe that they can champion that and they could bring more to their votes in that regard. So since 9/11, we became more of a Democrat. Now with this, for Gaza, definitely it was a decisive decision for the Muslim voters that Democrats, unfortunately, not only Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, did not have very clear position on ceasefire and stopping the supply of weapons and bombs to Israel, but also there were members of the Democrats, representative members of Congress, who refused to call for ceasefire. And that also angered the Muslim community. And so we had an issue. And therefore, Gaza was present front and center for the Muslim voters. And we believe to stop this, it's going to require much more harder work for Muslim Americans to work with members of Congress. It's going to be a tough job because, unless Democrats, they will be winning now after Donald Trump become now the president and everything is Republicans now with the House and the Senate, that they would be willing to work with the Muslim community in order to get the support. That is still remain to be seen. What we expect from the world is to be a little bit more active. We would like to see much more from the Arab countries, the Arab people, to be more louder and have a little bit more pressure on their government, because they can do a lot. If Egypt just a little wave on their borders, Israel would not have the audacity to humiliate, Egyptian borders with Rafah. That's an Egyptian territory that should be able to monitor. Unfortunately, it was left for the Israelis to go there and do all the bombing and all the violation of the treaty, or the between Egypt and Israel at the time. There's much more can be done from the Arab world and from the rest of the Muslim world. Can you imagine 1.5 billion Muslims around the world? We can do nothing for, a little less than 2 million people in Gaza and a very small strip. I think the Palestinians have given a lesson that will never be forgotten in the history, that they stood against superpowers, France, the US, UK, Germany, with all their might and power and weapons, while the rest of the Muslim and Arab worlds are watching their brethren being slaughtered every single day for over than 400 days. I don't know how the history is going to write these pages for them, but that is going to be written in stone. Israel act as if they are above the law. Thanks to South Africa, who brought the case against Israel in the International Court of Justice and International Criminal Law Court as well, that they have, brought war crimes against Netanyahu and Gallant, his former defense minister. But how far did the international court go? I mean, the evidence was very clear. It was presented, and every single day there's additional evidence of war crimes, of genocide, using starvation as weapons of war, using almost everything against civilians, hospitals, schools, refugee centers, water tanks, water reservoir, paramedics, ambulances, hospitals, churches, mosques. I just can't understand how the world is just watching there. So Israel act as if above the law, and it sees it. It sees that nobody is really forcing Israel to stop. We would have expected much more economic sanctions, if not from the Western, because the Western countries, now they have revealed the mask, and we see that they are not serious, not truthful to human rights, not truthful about civilization, I think, or democracy, or any of this. They are capable of committing the Holocaust against the Jews in Germany and around the world that they were watching during that time. It is the same mentality. It is the same viciousness, unfortunately. They are watching what's happening in Gaza. So now I do believe 100% that the Western mind is a criminal mind, as we see what they did to the Jews in the Holocaust. Now this is happening. Now the irony is the same victims of the Holocaust are committing genocide against a population who hosted them for thousands of years, provided them with safety and security and prosperity and safe haven. And unfortunately, they are treating them in a very grateful way. It is worth noting that the West, who claim to be supporting Jews around the world, and with weapons and money and diplomatic and political and economic, are the ones who have the highest anti-Semitism in their societies. Whereas Muslim countries have absolutely no anti-Semitism. Jews live in Turkey with peace and security. Jews live in Morocco with peace and security. Jews live in Iran with peace and security. They live in Egypt. They live in Syria. They live in in Azerbaijan. They said it is the most peaceful life they ever had. They don't even have it in Israel as much as they have it in Azerbaijan. So they cannot claim that we are anti-Semitic. They cannot claim that we have mistreated Jews. They are the ones who mistreated Jews as well as Palestinians. But we hold on to our faith because that's our Islamic faith. That is our values that we cherish and we live by in our Muslim countries. And this is the time that everyone is exposed to know exactly on what value grounds they stand. And I think the history will judge all of us. Some professor of law, he said, he threw the books and told his students, there's no more need to study international law because this international law is not anymore respected. If we cannot apply international law to what's happening in Gaza, what are we teaching? The respect for international law, the application of international law does not exist for Muslim countries, but they brag about themselves when they want to apply it somewhere else. If this was Muslim countries or Muslim people who are doing this to somebody else, absolutely, they will start bringing international law. That's what they did in Iraq. And they brought false accusation of weapons of mass destruction, and they destroyed Iraq with lies. So yes, it's a hoax. Again, this is for the history to judge everyone.
In your opinion, what will Turkey-US relations look like during this new term?
I think the new Turkey-US relationship is going to be watched. Because right now, we don't know if Donald Trump would continue the same policy he conducted back in his first 4 years. But with the new team that he has assembled, now we have to wait until they are confirmed, by the way. Yes, he has nominated people, but that is not necessarily all of them will be approved through the Senate confirmation committees. So there could be some of them may not pass. It depends, but it is a concern, and also will put Turkey on some difficult choices to make as well. And I believe even America may put themselves on some difficult choices to make because, remember, Turkey is member of NATO. Turkey hosts many NATO bases and also a long relationship with the US. So it is going to be watch and see. From what we see, nothing really brings hopes. However, we have to wait and see.
Could you please tell us about the FETÖ terror group's involvement in US politics?
The FETÖ group, I think what they did, they were able to wash the brain of innocent Turkish people, I would say, that they were able to bring them to the fold of their thinking, and they were very slick. They built their relationship with influential people, journalists, members of Congress, business people, judges, and they are of high disciplines. So they were able to really attract many of the Turkish Americans, especially those who have inclination or hold Islamic practices. But unfortunately, it seems to me to the wrong ideas, but they have them committed to them highly. And unfortunately, we have seen that their ideology, they're more like a cult than truly a group of people who look for service, for community service, for organizing. We have seen, as it showed the evidence of their implication and if not even sponsoring and being behind the coup against Turkey. When you go against the will of 80 million Turkish people who made decisions on the ballot boxes, that this is the kind of governance that they need to, that they want to have, and you use the army who's supposed their job is to protect the people, to protect the country from the outsider. You use them to bomb the symbol of democracy, to bomb and kill fellow citizens. I don't think this is a group that you can have much trust, that you can believe much of what they say and they preach. So from all this analysis, we see that they are a dangerous group, no doubt about it.
Thank you for your valuable insights.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.